Hello, 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 ladies and gents, and welcome to episode 57 of the Horsemen podcast. We are almost to episode 60. It's just right there. But yeah, it's the three-man crew this time around. Yours truly, Levi, along with the, well, I'm not going to say it again because I learned my lesson the hard way. Thanks, God. But the man with the best mustache of the group, Ricky.
Yellow.
And of course, the master of the Fireblade, Raphael. And he's frozen.
Robin, he's frozen.
Oh, there.
Oh no, he
what?
ain't frozen.
It froze.
Oh, there you are.
And you got a glitch. You got a freeze as well. Like you move around, you're like.
Warp, warp, warp.
Wow.
So I figured before we get to the episode at hand, I figured we give kind of an idea of what's to come for the next few episodes, according to the YouTube poll. The big episode everybody wants us to talk about next is the top 10 metal bands with no bad albums. So that's episode 58, probably in a couple of weeks. Then after that, I think we're going to do episode 59, the 3-year anniversary special with the possibility of a special interview. Who that person is going to be, I'm going to leave that as a surprise, if I haven't said it already. But anyway, so yeah, that's a possibility. But then after that, we get back on normal track. We got after that the top 10 hard rock heavy metal producers, which that's going to be difficult. And then after that, for episode 61, top 10 grindcore albums.
Yeah, and grindcore's the last
of the extreme metal genres to talk about.
Yeah. Because we're still missing gothic metal, we're still missing industrial, we're still missing a lot.
Lots of other genres, but in terms of extreme metal, yeah, grindcore, yeah, we've covered thrash, we've covered death metal, we've covered black metal, we've covered doom. Last one left is grind.
And that was going to be a pain, because I'm not much of a grindcore fan, but
There's always time to check out some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, with all that said, ladies and gentlemen... Oh, I fucked that up. There we go. So for this episode, we are talking Behemoth the Satanist, the last of the quote-unquote trilogy of albums that all of us here at the Horsemen podcast love. Oh, damn it.
Mm-hmm. Alright,
that's everybody. Yeah, I got it all fixed. I was trying to get the album playing in the background to a quiet extent. But yeah, so, good place to start with talking about this is, well, the album cover. Ricky and I got the version with the original actual cover.
Yeah. So, funny thing, well, actually, first time we got into the band, I think that would be kind of best.
Yeah, so, how I got into Behemoth... I always heard the name Behemoth, and I heard a couple of songs prior to listening to this album in 2014. And if I remember right, 2014 was the first year when I started doing album reviews on my channel. Looking back at it, it's like it could have been better, but hey, it was primitive early era stuff for me. So learning curves are going to be all over the place. But I remember I gave this album quite a bit of praise, and I think I had in my top 5 for albums in 2014. It wasn't my number one. My number one was Accept Blind Rage that year. But this was up in the mix along with At the Gates and Triptychon, because 2014 was a really good year. When you have this and At the Gates, Accept, and Triptychon putting out some quality stuff, it was hard for me to choose, but after it came out, I kind of left Behemoth for a while. It wasn't until hanging out with everybody here, Hannah, Arthur, Ricky, and such, and you guys were talking about Behemoth all the time, and it's like, well, I do remember listening to The Satanist, and it was a great album. Hadn't listened to it since the year it was released, and then we went back, or I went back to it and fell in love with Behemoth again. And it was around the time of I Loved You at Your Darkest coming out, and then here we are, and now I want to get more Behemoth, like Evangelion, The Apostasy, and Demigod, Pandemonic Incantations, all the other... Not really going to get the black metal era stuff, because I listen to that stuff, it's like second-rate black metal at best. Just give me the Black and Death stuff, and I'm good. Ricky?
Well, with Behemoth, it was almost the same. I always heard the name Behemoth, but I never got into them. It wasn't until I was beginning my black metal phase around 2015 to 2016, and it's when I started diving more into the darker side of metal. So, again, bands like Bathory, Venom, and all that were coming my way. And then, out of nowhere, a playlist came up that said Behemoth. I was like, I never heard of Behemoth. I'll try Behemoth. And the first song that popped in that playlist was "Oh Father, O Satan, No Son." And I fell in love with that song. That actually was like, from what album this is. Came with The Satanist. And of course, I listened to the album and I fell in love with Behemoth. That I actually went back and listened to their discography leading up to I Love You at Your Darkest, which was the first Behemoth album I reviewed. And I think I gave that album back, if I remember, 4.5 out of 5 stars, being I Love You at Your Darkest. But Behemoth is one of those bands that live is an experience in itself. I've never seen Behemoth live. I had the opportunity to see Behemoth live back in their Iglesia Diabólica Católica tour, which was during the I Love Your Darkest tour, but I don't know why I didn't go. But if they ever come back to the States, whenever this thing all is better, I'll definitely go see Behemoth live, because I would just love to, Nargo just being there and preaching to the masses, So yeah, and Behemoth is probably one of my favorite extreme metal bands, and I need to clear this out.
I was just about to say, so now explain to us that blunder you had when we first started doing the show, and we did top 10 black metal albums, and you had The Satanist at one, even though it's not a black metal album, it's Black and Death, more on death.
Okay. I need to explain myself for that little...
See yourself out.
Yes. Okay, so when we were doing that list, I was still getting more into black metal. And from all those albums, from In the Night Side Eclipse, The Mysterious Montanos, Philosopher, Venom, and all that, The Satanist, to me, I always felt it was the heaviest, darkest, fastest, philosophically genius, just all out everything that I think black metal represented at the time. Do I regret putting Behemoth as my number 1 in the black metal list? No, I don't. I don't regret anything that I've ever said on this show. But as time has gone on by, of course, I began to understand more of Black and Death, because at the time I didn't know what Black and Death was until I began to do more research on Blasphemy and all those other
Necrophobic, Belphegor,
yes.
Hate, and Merkskog.
Yes. And then I realized that this sound is more to the Behemoth sound. So again, at the time, this was the most heaviest black metal, evil shit I've ever listened to at the time. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put it on my number 1. And yeah. And not to mention the little thing you did on the top 10 albums, the 2010s, that little freaking tantrum that we all went into for you having it at the top 5, but we all agree we're gonna have a number 1, mister.
Anyways, Raphael, what about your story into getting into Behemoth?
I mean, it's the same as everyone. We all heard Behemoth, and at first I'm like, "What is a Behemoth?" And then you see like there are these giant monsters, and what the actual Behemoth means. But then when I first listened to Behemoth, I forgot what song it was. I'm like, what? At first I was like, "What is this?" And then when recently I started listening to the 2014 album, I'm just like, "Oh, they're actually not that bad. They actually sound pretty good." So then now I'm gonna start getting back into liking Behemoth. I do like black metal back in the days, and now I'm like black and death metal and stuff. But now I'm gonna go back to and listen to the more darker sides of the black and death metal and more black metal.
Yeah, because I'll even say this too. If it weren't for Behemoth, would I have discovered other Black and Death bands like Belphegor, Merkskog, Necrophobic, Hate, Blasphemy, and to some extent Dissection? Well, I mean, I was already into Dissection before I got into Behemoth, so I don't know. But or Akerkaki, that's another big one. But
That's another one. Akerkaki, yeah.
But yeah, Behemoth definitely the gateway band into getting into this style of mashup of black metal and death metal. More on the, like I always say, black and death metal. It's more of a death metal subgenre that just incorporates black metal elements on top.
Yeah, but again, if somebody were to tell you this is black metal, I wouldn't blame them because I did the same thing.
But now
It is gonna get confusing, but you just have to listen to the sound, and then because mostly people are gonna focus on the and where Behemoth first came out of. So
yeah, because let's not forget, Behemoth did start out as a straight up black metal band. But like I've said before, I felt like their black metal stuff was kind of second rate in comparison to everything else happening at the time. And it wasn't until the Pandemonic Incantations album in '98 when they came out with the new Black and Death sound, and then they've just been building on it ever since. Upping the ante on the death metal influence while retaining the black metal atmosphere in the background.
Yeah, and a bit of a tragic backstory because of how this album was created. Of course, Nergal was during the album before this.
The Evangelion.
He was unfortunately diagnosed with leukemia. So think about this: the man behind the band battling leukemia, but at the same time battling the courts of some fucking bullshit that Poland's still in their freaking dark ages.
Yeah,
he's like, screw the Polish government. I want to fight this thing by myself and get it over with. So when you're in that situation, you begin to, I guess, question yourself. Why me? Why did this fucking cancer happen to me? Why did this happen to me? And sometimes, I mentioned before, sometimes when tragedies like this happen, in the long run, they create some fucking amazing albums. And with Nergal, all that anger, all that frustration, all that he had inside, he wrote this and he released it and created the album, which we're gonna talk about at this moment.
So we begin this album with "Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel," which was the first single.
The cover.
Yeah.
The cover. So the cover right here, if you think about it, is kind of an unusual cover. But the thing about the cover is it's another funny story. This album has had 4 different album covers.
Yeah, we've had this one.
The one that Levi and I have.
Then there's one where it's just the logo, like right there.
The logo, and then there's the one that Hannah has on vinyl, which thankfully it has it here. It's this little thing.
Yeah, that's
and the fourth one is just this one, but more black and gray, and has some live tracks in it. But the reason why this album cover was created, because in Poland, in Behemoth's home country, they could not sell this album with the original cover that we know because of the Polish government. They had to find somewhere else to sell the album. So the only way you can get the original cover was to buy it off on UK, and it was hard to get, to the point that a lot of people were trying their hardest to find it with the original cover because it's an awesome album cover. And eventually, I mean, Poland's still strict with that album cover, that they can't even sell it with that album cover. But to me, when they talk about the fakeness, it's this album cover. This is the album cover to me that it says, this is the fucking Satanist. Not the one with the just the logo and the Satanist. I think that's, I mean, I understand why the band had to do it because of Poland, but again, that's a different story between Poland and Behemoth, especially right now. But yeah, just if you're trying to get the album, try getting with the original album cover if you can.
Now let's talk about the songs. So we kicked off the album with the first single, "Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel," which it's like I remember the music video for this too, because let's not forget this album was memorable for the music videos as well. And this was the first one that came out in like late 2013. And out of everything Behemoth had done up to this point, song-wise, this was definitely the most avant-garde oriented song, because, you know, a little bit slower, a little more marching, and all this and that, and catchy riffs, and then you end off the song with the standard Behemoth blast beat, and then more black metal blast beat, where it's like...
When you begin your album with "I saw the virgin's con spawning for the snake," you know shit is gonna be fucking heavy. I mean, talk about how to make a statement at the beginning. And we talked about how "Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel" is one of the greatest opening songs ever. I mean, come on. I mean, especially the ending when you have in the music video, the archangel Gabriel actually blowing the trumpet, which is, if you read about it, Gabriel is the archangel which will be announcing the apocalypse, Armageddon, whatever you want to call it, the end of the world. You know, he'll be the one announcing that it's coming.
When God comes to the earth.
And in a way, this album does announce the end of the world in a different way, in terms that you're gonna hear. This is where the album starts to get better and better and better. You're like, just wait until what you hear for the rest.
Which leads into "Für Divinius," which this song definitely has a little bit more speed on top of it, and it is the shortest song of the album at just barely over 3 minutes. So this was more of an unrelenting onslaught of music that you'd come accustomed with Behemoth. And as great of a song it is, I will say it is, in my opinion, like the least memorable off of the album. But it's not in a bad way. It just, you know.
I mean, the thing about this song, like I said, it is sometimes forgotten, but if you listen to it, it's a very underrated song. I mean, it's fucking catchy as hell. Especially the lyrics. I think, let me... Raise your dagger, Abraham, sit the throne of the only son, reserve the history of man, fuck and reset the world. I don't know, just the anger that Nergal is having this lyrics, I'm like, oh, this is fucking heavy. Like, give me more, and then just the second track.
So then moving into Messe Noire, which was another single. And
Messe Noire.
Messe Noire, where you brought up the anger in the lyrics. I think out of all the songs on the album, this was Nergal's angriest vocal performance on the album in his delivery, especially in the beginning where he goes, "I believe in Satan."
Basically, if you look at the music video, it's basically how Lucifer was cast out of heaven and became the devil.
Mhm.
That's like simple
Yeah.
to the point. But again, talk about the anger. And the blast beats are come on.
Mhm.
Oh, just fucking amazing.
Which then leads into the song that just finished playing, Ora Pro Nubis Lucifer.
Ora
Which,
pro nobis Lucifer, which translates to Latin, pray for us, Lucifer.
yeah. And this song, definitely a little bit more on the catchy side of things, and kind of like more of like a precursor to what you would hear on I Loved You at Your Darkest, with that more slowed down, catchier songwriting.
It is a bit of it. If you think about it, I think a bit of an anthem now.
To an extent,
like
yeah.
To an extent, it's one of those songs that you gotta see live, that you get the crowd together, you know, voice of an eon, angelo satane, blow your trumpets loose. I mean, ora pro nobis Lucifer. I was mixing Gabriel and
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
But the thing about ora pro nobis Lucifer
Yeah, no.
is that, again, super catchy. You get the crowd into it, and it just goes on a million miles. Especially, like I said, the midsection, the breakdown, the dun dun dun, and then you have a little bit of the bass, getting a bit of light there.
Yeah, or Ryan getting to show off his chops. Which then gets us to the middle of the album and the song that's currently playing, Amen, which is nearly 4 minutes, and this is probably the one song of the album that is signature Behemoth. Fast, blasting, furious, heavy, typical Behemoth right here, and it's badass. Like Inferno, the drummer, I feel is one of the most underrated drummers in metal history, because he plays his blast beats so fast and well. The only drummers I can think of that he can come close to in terms of speed is guys like George Callias. Like, the man just really knows how to play the kit, and as we're hearing it right now with the song. And then, of course, the riffing going on as well. Like, so many, like, tremolo riffs and such. And now we're into the part of the song where it slows down a little bit to kind of break the mold a little bit, which is something I appreciate.
I mean, try giving this to a song to some religious persons, and they'll be like, "What the hell is this?" They'll be like, "What is it?" Because they'll read the lyrics. They'll be like, "Oh, amen," probably a praying song, which technically it is a praying song because it has the word "amen." Hail Mary, full of disgrace, the Lord has forsaken with thee. Cursed thou among men and possessed, cunning and strong a children on the autopsy of God. Damtanta Virgo Maria Credo undone. Yeah, it's you're technically praying.
I love how your voice cracked during that.
I know.
So that's the first half of the Satanist. Strong first half. You kicked it off with a memorable single, an avant-garde track. Then you get into a more faster song, and then you get to an angry song, then you get to a catchy anthemic track, and then you end the first half off with signature blistering speed. But then we get to the second half, which begins with the title track. And this song has been one of the songs off the album I've listened to the absolute most of, because, again, kind of like Ora pro nobis Lucifer, catchiness.
Ora pro nobis dos Lucifer.
Ora pro nobis.
You need to get your little Latin there, get more Latin experience.
Oh boy. Anyways, the title track. Yeah, this has a lot of catchy riffs and vocal moments as well. And also the music video, probably the weirdest music video Behemoth ever did, because it just follows this like alien-looking chick, like freaking the fuck out while everybody's like putting a spell on her or something.
I mean, like I said, whenever I think of the Satanist music video, when I first saw it, I was like, it's gonna be a Satanist. I was like way, way wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It felt as if this chick who had a big
Wait
had a
a minute.
had a big head.
Wait a minute.
But
Oh, that had a big head, like more than usual, with big eyes. Was like, is she
Yeah,
okay?
like how we picture an alien will look like.
I was
Pretty
like,
much that's how people picture an alien.
yeah,
yep. I was like, is she okay? And then as the song progressed, I was like, oh, now I understand why she's like that, or well, I guess she was running away from something. Because she was running away from, I guess, being corrupted to the everyday life. Sleep, eat,
No.
work, die, repeat. That
Uh-huh.
the life cycle.
Yeah, that Brock Lesnar tried to progress.
And I just love the middle section, especially Nurgle's. I mean, Nurgle as a lyricist, I mean, come on, he's probably up there. I decomposed in rapture of hell, the soul,
No, he's
is
a
mine,
he's,
disintegrate, I am yours, in euphoria below. I love that so much. I think it's so brutal,
he's a
heavy. I mean, the thing about Nurgle's lyrics is that if you haven't noticed yet, he takes a lot of biblical stuff.
mm-hmm.
Shockingly.
yeah, he does. He does. And also Nurgle, it took him a while to write these lyrics, but he just had to release all that frustration he had from having the leukemia. He said, what am I going to do in my life? I'm going to continue my band. I don't give a fuck about leukemia. I don't give a fuck about religious things. And so he's just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep my band going. I don't care about leukemia. That's
And
pretty much what he did.
that's actually a point we forgot to bring up in the onset.
Mhm.
Like typically,
Yeah.
when people go through an illness like that, they find faith and become born again to some extent. Not Nurgle.
No,
Not
he-
Nurgle.
Nah, Nurgle.
I mean, this is a guy he has said it many times. He is an atheist,
Yeah, not a
And he has-
Satanist.
Nurgle.
which
Nurgle said no.
which a lot of people, give shit
Believes
to
in
him
nothing.
for being,
That's what atheist means. Believes in nothing.
which a lot of people give Behemoth shit for being Satanists when in reality they're not even.
They're
Satanists.
not.
They're atheists.
Yeah, same,
They just hate.
same thing with
They just
the
hate.
water Catholic.
They just hate the fact that a lot of religions don't let the people think for themselves. It's like the Catholic Church, with all the little the shady stuff like that,
Yeah.
But he just finds a way to, I guess, fight the religion. Not for religion in terms of you can't believe in this, but
More
the-
in the organized
yes, how it's
situations,
organized and how religion tells you can't eat this, you can't listen to this, you can't hang out with this person. Who the
You can't
fuck
you
is
can't
that?
make love to your wife.
Who the? I mean,
Yeah.
who the fuck said that? Somebody who wrote that 1,000 years say it?
And besides,
Yeah,
we've touched. It's like we've.
You think you are?
Anyway,
But anyways, we've touched on this a little bit in the past. Like, and I'll say it again. I am a born and raised Christian, but I'm not not like a super religious person. And
Yeah.
I mean, goes to show you, I'm listening to an album like this, and I love it. Yet I'm a Christian, but to me, and I think this should be said for everybody. Religion's supposed to be about you, about yourself, not about picketing at metal shows and stuff that they seem to not approve of. Yet in reality, being a Christian means you're supposed to love one another regardless of what they believe. That's what it is. That's what it truly is all about. It's not for people to rebel against Vikings and stuff like that. Like, come on.
No,
And it's like I said, it's like while I can't stand the organized side of Christianity, I'm a believer. And that's all that it should be.
yeah.
Just leave it at that. And
no, and
just
the
move
interesting
on.
fact. Since we're
And if you want more of that, you need to go back to the archives and watch our religion and metal episode.
Exactly. If you want more in depths about that, go back to that. As we now move into, ironically, just as the title track ended, we're now in the next song, Ben Sahar.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Which, there went Raphael again.
Okay.
Which this song, as well as Furor Divinus, another one of those songs I'm the least familiar with off the album, but yeah, definitely more groove-oriented, as we're already getting with the track coming in. It starts off kind of like a Celtic Frost groove, like the Celtic groove, I like to call it, that bands like Asphyx and Darkthrone love to do on a lot of their songs. So we start off the song with that, but yeah, definitely another one of those catchier songs with riffs and the rhythms.
Mm-hmm. And I just love the middle section, the didn't. I just, that riff alone, I mean, talk about underrated riffs. So ominous and evil. I mean, the I cast aside, Fittest Divine, Angelus Del, Fidel Thy Lies.
Mm-hmm. Then that gets into the next track, the penultimate song, in the absence of light, which you want to talk about diverse songwriting. You kick it off with standard Behemoth speed, and then you get something unique, an acoustic midsection, which is beautiful in its own right, with spoken word parts.
Yeah, and that spoken word is from a German movie. I just don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
It was taken from a movie. I'm like, wow. I mean, when I first listened to this song, I was like, what the hell? What's this acoustic thing? What the hell? I mean, this is like the first time in the entire album that you feel peace, which is weird. Compared to this time, you're just feeling nothing but anger. Fuck you. You have to come to a little bit of calm and peace, like. And then you know after that is a heavy part's gonna come up, and yep, even more heavier.
Which then, now we get to the grand finale song, and probably arguably the best metal song of the 2010s. The final track, O Father, O Satan, O Son, at over 7 minutes, one of the longer Behemoth songs you're ever gonna hear. And starting off with this epic build-up before you get a nice, groovy bass riff before we get Nurgle kind of beginning preaching to some extent. And then it goes into more chaos with a little bit of blasting, but still keeping a catchy groove with a nice little guitar solo lick in there before we get more chanting, then more blasting, and then super fast blast beats before we get the part dun 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 with the march. It's felt more like a military march kind of rhythm before we get to the final words of the album in spoken word from Nurgle.
Which that was in one take.
Which is incredible to think, yeah.
You have no idea the amount of times I've listened to this song, because this song is Behemoth. I mean, to write us this powerful song late in your career, and it is regarded as probably the best song of your entire discography, says a lot. I mean, you have the amount of times I have listened to this song. I think by this time I have the entire song memorized. I mean, from even the chant, I'm like, everything about the song. This song is, as like Archer mentioned in the chat, is as perfect as you can get. There's no dull moment. There's fast melodic guitars. Basically, this is Behemoth at its finest, the peak of the career. If Behemoth would have stopped at this point, if Behemoth would have released this song, just this song, and called it a career, this will be the perfect way to send them up, because after writing something as powerful as O Father, O Satan, O Son, where can you go? You can't top that.
No, you can't. And now I was just thinking, I should have put that song when we did back in the day, the long I mean, the long. What was it? The long
The longest songs.
songs. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should have put. We should. One of us should at least put that one there.
Yeah, but and also this was also, like I said, Behemoth began to realize what can we do better. And of course we got I Love You Your Darkest, which took the idea from the Satanist, but
Made it a little catchier.
made it a little bit catchier. But again, you cannot replicate something as powerful as "Oh Father, Oh Satan, Oh Son," to the point that I mentioned before. A lot of fans, including us, have stated this is the best song ever.
Yeah.
I mean, having a 20 plus year career already,
Mm-hmm.
and having the best song.
Later in your
Putting your-
career, yeah.
Talk about the impact. Talk about, like I said, the frustration you have of battling leukemia. What more can you want?
Absolutely.
And talk
Yeah,
about
I
one of the
agree.
talk about one of the best closing songs ever. Next
Yeah.
to "Hallowed Be Thy Name," next
Raining
to
Blood.
"Raining Blood."
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
powerful this is. This song
Mhm.
is, and this album is like. I mean, we're still talking about it. It's only 7 years old. It's basically still a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Uh huh.
It's just growing
I agree,
growing up into pre-teenhood by this point.
Mm-hmm.
So overall,
Making people know.
Behemoth the Satanist, one of the best metal albums to come out in the past 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some may say the best. I say Carcass Surgical Steel says hold my beer. But the Satanist definitely among that category, no doubt about it.
Oh, my beer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
And-
and then with I Loved You at Your Darkest, yeah, it's like it was a great album, but not top 5, maybe like 6 or 7 in terms of Behemoth albums, because I just feel like, you know, Evangelion, Apostasy, Demigod is a little bit better. But who knows, maybe with a new album in the works, maybe we can get something close. But
I mean,
I think like Behemoth's career is basically now, can they compete with the Satanist? And to be honest with you, unless some crazy shit happens, I just don't see it.
Yeah, this album, the same.
Are they capable of doing it? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Is it impossible? No. Is it will be really hard?
Yes.
Because this is kind of like the Back in Black effect.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Back in Black album. After the tragedy of Bon Scott, the band created this one of a kind album that is regarded as their best.
Yeah.
All of these songs, the majority of the Satanists, they're fucking singles.
Mhm.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Trumpets, Missa Noir,
Ora pro nobis
Ora pro
Ben
nobis
Sahara.
Lucifer's, the Satanist, In the Absence of Light, and O Father, O Satan, O Son.
Mhm.
All
And-
single.
Yeah, and unlike Back in Black, it is rare when a radio station will play Behemoth or let alone any extreme metal songs.
Unless you go to
Luckily-
Liquid Metal on Sirius XM.
Yeah. Luckily, my local radio station, 103.FM,
Yeah.
the crew
That is
does.
radio.
Luckily, my radio station here in town does play extreme metal sometimes during the weekend, and they have played songs from the Satanists. They have played the title track. They have played Ora pro nobis Lucifer. They even played Messianore. But I would love them to play O Father, Satan, and Son, because can you imagine if you're a 16-year-old kid with a lot of anger that want to somehow to release it? You hear the song, you hear any of those songs from say this on the radio, and you'll be like, "What the hell is this? I gotta check. I need to listen to more." Which will become fans of the band and will check out the discography and be like, "Oh my god, this band is amazing." Because that's the thing when every album that every band releases, you want more people to get into the band, and
That is true.
And a lot of Behemoth fans, it's a split. Because a lot of Behemoth fans like the early stuff and hate the old stuff, the new stuff.
Yeah.
And some like the new stuff, but they don't like the old
But-
stuff.
Yeah, that
Personally, I'm more of the fan of the new stuff, but I can appreciate the early stuff because without that early stuff, we wouldn't get current Behemoth.
happens. This classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also wouldn't have this classic now
Yeah, it's a modern
because bands
classic.
progress.
Mm-hmm. And like also,
Bands that like
yeah, I was gonna say, and then like, but yeah, like going back to like the origins of the band, yeah, starting out just a straight up black metal band, trying to emulate what the Norwegian bands and even Swedish bands were doing, but throwing in a Polish vibe. And to me, not terrible, but not great either. It was just, eh.
it was.
But then they were maturing
long-
by the end of the decade, and then once 98 comes through, when we get Pandemonic Incantations, when they pretty much find their original sound, playing a mix of death metal and black metal, but more on the death metal end of the scale. And then, like I said, they've just been building on that ever since and continuing to up the ante in the aggression of the death metal, but still retaining a black metal atmosphere in the background, which, to me, that is the definition of black and death metal. Bands who play death metal, but incorporate an atmosphere from black metal. And there's, like I said, so many other bands. Belphegor, Necrophobic, early Blasphemy, even though that's more hybrid black metal, death metal, not so much black into death. And then Akerkaki bringing in a prog influence into the genre. Merkskog adding more brutality to the genre. Zyklon adding a bit of an industrial vibe. And Behemoth, while they weren't the first in the genre, to me that's Necrophobic, the first true band of the genre. They certainly perfected it, no doubt.
Yeah. So if we're
I was about to say, would you say fathers of black and death metal?
Yeah, the big forefathers of the genre, the big forefathers of Black and Death: Necrophobic, Behemoth, Belphegor, and Hate. And you look at two of those bands from Poland, Behemoth and Hate.
Yep, there you go.
So top 3 songs
off of the album. Well, I think we're all in agreement. "O Father, O Say No Song," number 1.
Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel.
Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel. And then for the third one, I'm torn between either the title track or Ora Pro Nobis Lucifer. I'd probably go with Ora Pro Nobis Lucifer, my number 3. Or even in the absence of light could be in there too.
I'd go with the third one. For me, the title track.
All right, Raphael. What about you for top 3?
I think I'll go.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, now our Raphael's the lagger. Which is understandable considering Florida's been hit with a tropical storm.
Title track? Yeah, I think that's fair since it's
And to think, I mean, a lot of people have said that Behemoth is kind of our modern day
that's why
Slayer, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
I'm lagging normal here, but like on my side, the one that's lagging is Levi.
No. But overall,
the Satanist, a modern classic now in metal, and for good reason.
I mean, to the point that, you know, a lot of bands have started to cover songs from the Satanist. Even the cover band Brides of Lucifer have covered "O Father of Satan," the Son, of course, not to the grandiose that it is, but it's still fucking impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that, you know, when you're in that situation like Nurgle was, that you don't give up. You gotta fight no matter what, and like I said, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Wink, wink.
Mhm.
But again, can you imagine if Nurgle would have not gone through that? We would have had the same album? It would have been different.
Much
I don't
different,
think
yeah.
it will. Maybe the Satanist being called the Satanist, it would still happen, but it would have been more different because I don't know. Nurgle's mindset at the time was way different than it is right now.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Yeah, and thanks to that, I mean, Nurgle's, he said it many times, he began to be more healthy, he's began to be more active, be more. I mean, he was already a good guy because he's always been a goofy,
A goofball, a total goofball. Yeah.
But I guess he's just had more time to appreciate life because he could just go in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy who has beaten cancer, that has my respect. But to create this masterpiece,
I agree.
As a result, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so do I recommend it? Hell, motherfucking yes.
If there is a Behemoth album, if you want to get into the band, this is the place to start.
That's the first. That should be the first one.
And at first, you're gonna be shocked from the imagery. That's understandable. We've all been there. But as the more you listen to it, the more you're gonna enjoy it. Because I remember, I showed "Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel" the video to one of my friends, and she was like, "What the hell did I just see?" She even told me. She's like, "Are you a Satanist?" I'm like, "No, I'm not a Satanist." And then I'm like, "What do you think?" Because what you showed me, and I'm like, "No, I'm not a Satanist. I was born and raised Catholic,
right?
But I'm nowhere close to a Satanist. I mean, if you are, my respects. You do you, but to the point
that's fine. I don't like it.
But to the point that you show this to somebody who's not familiar with the Satanist or even Behemoth, you show them "Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel," the music video, or even any of the music, they'll be like, "Am I gonna die from watching this?" Because the imagery is so
it's so out there.
Yeah, which is why Behemoth's fucking awesome because they go all out. Even God Equals Dog from the Love of Your Darkness was way out there. Very controversial, which I like about.
And I'll give them this. They know how to get hot chicks in their videos too. Even before the Satanists, they had some hot chicks in their videos. So there you go. Like the video for well, it was a song off of Evangelion. To Metallum I Go, so I can remember.
Of Light, was it Of Light?
It was A Fire in the Void. That was the
That's
song.
The one, A Fire in the Void. I was thinking of Life and Death. I don't know why.
Yeah, where they had a Polish pop star do the video, and she gets pregnant, has a baby, and holds her in front of Nurgle. And I love the behind the scenes. It's like in the video, you make it think, does Nurgle hate children? But you see in the behind the scenes, he's having fun, like holding the baby, rubbing his belly, like, "Oh, you're so cute. I wish you were mine."
And again,
like a normal human being would.
Yeah. And again, Nurgle's probably one of the most nicest, intellectual, funny guys in metal.
Yeah.
I would say this: one of these days, if we ever see Behemoth live, we got to hang out with Nurgle.
Oh hell yeah! That would be funny as fuck.
Yeah, well, Hannah already did. Remember?
Yeah, Hannah already has. Yeah.
Lucky her, because they keep for some reason they never come to the United States. They keep going to the UK.
Come to the States. I mean,
they do. I think. I think the first time I ever heard about them playing in the States in a big way was the 2009 Mayhem Festival tour, and out of all the Mayhem Fests, that was probably the best one lineup wise, because listen to this lineup of bands you had for that tour: Job for a Cowboy, Killswitch Engage, Cannibal Corpse, Behemoth, Trivium, Bullet for My Valentine, All That Remains, Slayer, and Marilyn Manson. Talk about
How
an
much bigger?
an eclectic group of people on a tour. And the photo shoot, where it's like Manson at the center with a snake and everybody, Matt Hafey, Kerry King, Matt Tuck, I think Nurgle was in there, John Davey, Howard Jones. They were all there in that picture. And it was like, whoa, this would have been a tour I would have loved to have seen.
Yeah.
To see some metalcore, some death metal, some Black and Death, some thrash, some alternative stuff, some groove, the whole 9 yards. Would have been an amazing tour to go to. And this was when Behemoth was touring for Evangelion at the time, and when Nurgle had long hair.
Yes. Which is weird now looking.
Because you're so used to him having the short hair now. Yeah.
Which fits him.
It does fit him,
we're like, I'm just imagining people, they'd be like, oh, he's supposed to record his hair. Oh, shut the fuck up.
Hair length doesn't matter at all. And also, let's not forget, Nurgle was the one who broke the news about who Papa from Ghost truly was.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it was all him. It was revealing to be Tobias Forge. It's like, how people, fans, goes, how dare you do this, Nurgle? Why?
Well, Nurgle.
He's Nurgle. You never really know what he's gonna do next.
I knew you were gonna do that because I was like,
hey, you started it. Damn it. Oh.
But again,
now it makes me want to quote Quagmire. Good thing you packed up these blow-up dolls, Glenn. Be careful. Even the tiniest prick can pop these. Giggity. Oh, God. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, a couple of... For those who haven't followed my Instagram, which you should, these are the albums I got recently. I got Megadeth Euthanasia original recording. Megadeth So Far So Good So What original. Grave Into the Grave with the Tremendous Pain EP and demo songs. Morbid December Moon. And finally, Sinister Cross the Sticks. Probably the weirdest CD case I've gotten because it's got these like little things in the corner and it's got this like lock system and like the inside looks pretty sweet. If only more CDs had cases like this. But
that's an idea.
But I think that's a pretty good place to kind of wrap things up today. Bit shorter, then again, when you only have 3 people, it can be this way at times. But a reminder of the upcoming episodes. Next episode, where hopefully we can get the entire gang back for it. But, yeah, the scheduling's gotten a little bit strained, considering now I work starting at noon from Tuesday to Friday, so I wouldn't be able to do it those days anymore, so it'd have to be the weekends or a Monday. But, yeah, next episode is going to be the top 10 metal bands with no bad albums. Then after that, it's the 3-year anniversary special with the possibility, I'm going to go ahead and say it, with the possibility of an interview with Jeremy Wagner from Broken Hope, which that will be insane. And then after that, it's the top 10 hard rock metal producers, and then top 10 grindcore albums. After that, we'll see.
Yes, because we still have a long way to go, and we're almost there to the end of the year list, which that will be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it will be a big pain in the dick. Yeah. Because, and there's still a bunch of albums I need to catch up on, especially ones that have come out. Yeah, and like there's so many albums, especially that have come out in the past few weeks that I need to check out, like Fear Factory, Dark Throne, At the Gates. I need to check those out and do reviews for them on the Shadow Cult channel. But with all that pretty much said, yeah, that pretty much does it for today's episode. For those watching on Twitch, we're going to raid Mishy Masher, give her some love as she's playing some video games. And to everybody on YouTube, got Marvel Studios Cup stuff to do, which I will be doing here before too long. But tonight, I'm going to go see Black Widow. Finally, after we should have got it last year. But with all that said, horns high, and we will see you very soon.